this is the club's keyboard. The 10-second.
Here you go.
Microphone.
All right. I'll do it like they did, like my Marine drill instructors. My Marine drill instructors back in the day, they said, you got 1 minute, 59, 58, 57, and it was true.
Done, sir.
All right. We're good. I think we're all good. Hey, Phil. How you doing, man? Good, you? Good to see you, too. Good to see you.
Hear you every morning.
Well, thank you.
Unfortunately.
You got to send me your info again, because I got to get you on the list.
Yeah, I know, you didn't email me last time.
I didn't have
But
you
I
on
was
the
out of town.
I didn't have you on the list. Yeah,
Okay.
I got to
That's
get you
okay.
on the list. Yeah.
Okay. There were
Email
other
me.
ones that wanted to be part of this.
Yeah. Email me one more time. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
You need to retire.
I am December.
I know, you
Yeah.
got too much on your plate.
Yeah, I know. December. What's
It's
up?
on video.
I was reading it.
One job would change for you.
Right.
I do
Oh,
more
yeah.
checks out.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. That's why I think I'm going to keep working.
Yeah.
As long as they keep paying me for doing what I'm doing now, I enjoy it.
Yeah, well,
I'm just going to keep going and going.
You know me, and it's funny, is when I first started, just as a pro.
All right. Ladies and germs, we got a really big shoe tonight. Really big. About 8.5. Maybe not that big.
He's going back to his teaching days. Ah.
Yeah, there you go. The stand-in president tonight, Eric, W-A-W-L-M. You can take over. All right, now that I think everybody's with me, welcome Sarah and friends of Best Looking Hands in the hobby. Just take a look around. Take a look around. Best Looking Hands. Well, don't look too close. Come on. All right. If this is your first meeting or if you are new, I would like for you to stand up and introduce yourself. And here we are. This is UIB. This is John. Hey, John. What do you say? What do you say, John? Ah, there we go.
There he is.
He's been practicing.
Yes, he has.
Okay. Anybody else?
You're right here.
Yes.
Oh, no, this guy. KDA-2X, Joe, West Akron, first meeting.
Joe. Yeah, no, we got you. Yeah, good to get an eyeball or two on you. Anybody else? I'm normally absent without leave.
He's hogtied to be the president
I am.
again.
Okay, let's see what we got. Announcements. Okay, Border Breaker Net has expanded an hour. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Due to the overwhelming participation from Ohio the first hour, we've
You have to.
adjust your voice. We've expanded to cover both hours, and Ray, K5CFY, those of you who listen to the Barometer Net know him. He runs the second hour on Wednesdays, so you can check in with him. And rechecks are not only welcomed but encouraged. It's nice to check in for both hours. So jump on in there and say hi to Ray if you would like. He likes us, and he is a club member, by the way. So a paying club member. So yeah. So
Good job adding it. It's awesome.
it's a good time, and Dustin has fun with it. I have fun with it, and the Oklahoma guys have fun with us being in there. So there you go.
Cool.
A couple other things happening. The Mansfield Trunk Fest is coming up. That's July 8th. IARC, what is that? Intercity Amateur Radio Club. That's not a bad deal. That's a real nice fest. It's about 3 hours long. I think you get there at 9. It's over 12.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. IARC.club. That'll take you to their website. Click on the Hamfest tab. And Norris Fest is coming up on the 15th of July. Norris.net. And that's up at the Lorain County Community College. That's a beautiful place
Yes.
for a Hamfest. I mean, it is just really nice. And that's coming up as well. Anybody else have any? There's some other Hamfests around, but these are the close ones, and those are the ones that are going to be had before we have our next meeting. So, at any rate, anybody else have? Yeah, Jason.
So, I just wanted to announce that, I think it was last fall, early this year,
Thank you. It was either late last year or early this year. We were asked by someone to write a letter of recommendation, and I wanted to announce that Javen, WAUA, received a $10,000 scholarship from the ARL. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Great to see someone from the club. And also, if you were, David did a great job at the youth forum at Hamvention a couple weeks ago. Gary and I sat through that. A lot of kids doing some really interesting stuff out there. So, yeah. Javen was the senior wise man there out of that group. But it's just good to see that Amateur Radio was able to do that for Javen. It's another good thing that the ARRL does for us. So anyway,
Your ARRL dues at work. So Scott, representative thereof.
I'm on the foundation, and we had 182 kids actually apply for 85 scholarships.
okay, we had 182 kids apply for 85 scholarships this year. We gave away just about $500,000. So, and that was just the ERRL side of it. We also had close to $250,000 from the digital group that donated, and hopefully they will donate more again next year and keep the scholarship program going. So there's about 11 of us that do all the interviews for the scholarships, and it's a lot of fun. We get to meet a lot of good kids from all over the country, and it's really great.
All right, thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. We appreciate the ARRL, that is for sure. I do want to say, after that youth forum, I have renewed faith in our youth. It was fabulous. I mean, really and truly. Is that online sometimes?
Fabulous.
Yeah, you should check it out if you get an opportunity. Okay, moving right along. More announcements, though. Yeah, we have been following this for 3 years, and Dave has christened Meg. Dave, you want to say a couple words about Meg and what's going on? And also the website. The entire story is there. Let me just say a couple things real quick. The motivation, the inspiration, they've got it all chronicled up there, and he built a model. Every little piece of that boat was built via balsa wood, and I think balsa wood, something like that, in a model, and the whole thing is chronicled. If you really want to see a great project develop, check out the website.
This is what I spend my money on when I'm not spending it on ham radios. About 3-year project. I've been sailing since I was 13, 14 years old. Parents bought me a Montgomery board sailboat. and sold my last boat about 3 years ago because I could not afford the boat that I wanted to sail, so I decided to build it myself. Found some plans, and after about 3 years of you hearing me talk about this, that's what it looks like in the water. It floats, it does not sink. The sails will be done sometime in mid to late July, so she'll take her maiden sail this season sometime. I want to thank Nick for being my first mate. He's helped me launch the boat and learned to tie a beautiful, perfect half hitch. We got a couple more knots to learn, but the half hitch is absolutely perfect. Carrie, our closer, was our navigator on Portage Lakes. He knows every inch and nook and cranny of that lake. He's been living on it for 50 years. So he helped us get around. Each time we've been out there twice, and we stopped at the Blue Iguana which is a tequila bar that you pull up to. People ask me about the boat. They ask me how old it is, and when I tell them it's 4 days old, they don't know what to say. There's nothing like it on the lakes in Ohio. If you go out to Maine or East Coast, you might see something that looks similar, but there's nothing like that around here. So she is a looker. That bunch of fur on the front is called bow putting. And that's what you get on the front of a tugboat. And I will have to say, Gary, our president here, on our second trip, treated us to the most incredible Jurassic pause. Shot of tequila that we have ever shared. I've never tasted anything like it. We can tell you more about it if you want, but oh, thank you, Gary. Come back on the boat again. If you ever hear me talking about the boat and say, I'm going to a boat ramp, and please just find me and say, you'll meet me there. All right? It's an open invitation. I'm really honestly, serious about it. 98% of the time, I end up sailing all by myself. And it's not going to stop me. But it's much more fun to have somebody around to share it with. So if you hear me saying I'm going to a boat ramp, just tell me you're going to meet me there and you're welcome aboard. Honest.
All right, thanks, Dave. I will say there was a lot of comments, people driving by and saying, what is that? Oh my gosh. I mean, it was really incredible. Yeah, and I was fifth mate, by the way. Yeah. That's why I was I was actually still in the restaurant here and I took that picture. Anyway, the tequila, by the way, was Casa Azul. And if you ever have the opportunity to have a shot of Casa Azul, don't pass on it. Don't. Seriously. It is so good. Anyway, that being said, any other announcements for the group? Anybody, anywhere? Yes, sir.
I'll keep it simple. Those of you who know me know I'm potentially moving somewhere at the end of this year. I'm in the process of downsizing the house. Don't give me that. I can hear that phone. Over on the table over there are some batteries. Things are right before field days. If you want them, grab them. Go ahead and take them. They're free. I still have some problems, so don't worry about me from that.
All right, Mike. And how's your lovely wife?
Doing good. Still working through allergies and stuff. Surviving. Chaos and that.
No, I bet. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else? Announcements for the good of the cause. All right, next, Sarah minutes from May 18th. I gotta say, if you've looked at our minutes, they are looking pretty snazzy. Pretty snazzy. I need a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion.
Okay. Stefan? Nick? Second? And any disagreement with passing the minutes? Okay, minutes are adopted. Next slide. Isn't that a nice picture, Mike?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And here we go.
Good job.
Treasurer's report.
Look at that treasure.
All right. Statement beginning balance, 472756. We did have an expense for a new club projector. We didn't get to deploy that tonight, unfortunately, but you will see it here. The new club projector from probably here forward. Also, we have All-Star hosting that we pay monthly, $721. And then as far as deposits, membership dues, we did have those, 50-50 raffle from last time. And also gross receipts for field day t-shirts, and also the proceeds from gross receipts for the off-center fed dipole antenna build project, which I think we have up to 9 people participating in so far. And the ending balance, $50,6859 with $1,100 in the repeater replacement maintenance allocation and $39,6859 in the general fund.
All right, Jeff, thank you for that. Chuck. Oh, perfect. All right, thanks for that report. We really appreciate that. I think the treasure chest up there is indicative of our wealth. Yeah, it's all costume jewelry.
Yeah.
All right, next, please.
Are we gonna get in?
All right, now we get to the meat of the
We're gonna
matter.
accept the minutes.
Field Day 2023 update.
Treasurer's
Nick?
report.
Take it away.
Next week.
Yeah.
9 sleeps at this point. So we're going to forego practicing putting up the antenna. Most of the antenna crew has already done it a number of times. So we're just going to do that on the fly rather than make everybody drive around on a holiday weekend. So I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Accept the treasurer.
All the radios are in place. All the operators for those radios in the afternoon are in place. I do expect a whole lot of people to show up and come play radio with us, not only in the afternoon, but throughout the evening. All are welcome. Quick show of hands, who thinks they're going to be around at noon or so to help set up? Okay, we got plenty of people. I know you're going to. So between the antenna crew and the radio guys that afternoon, come and show up. Russ is going to buy fresh rolls this time. Well, they'll go with the brats left over, or that pan of missing brats from 2 years ago.
Oh, no, he found them.
Yeah, you found them.
Yeah.
They're nicely fermented.
Oh, they're great.
Where were they?
They're growing.
They're
They're pickled brats.
pickled broth.
Yes. And that's all I know about. I mean, the only real change since last time is we're definitely going to set up a 6-meter station.
And everybody's lined up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Yes, sir.
Is it a bring your own coffee pot? What's the deal?
Gary's in charge of coffee.
Don't let it get low.
We'll have coffee. Coffee is there. We're going to talk about food in just a second.
Yeah, I don't want to step on Russ's toes any more than I already have. So that's all I got.
All right. Yes, sir.
9 sleeps.
On a note for field day, I'm going to do an educational event. So what I'm going to do is going to be based on soldering and some helpful tips and things that are not very expensive that can help you do a way better job when you do soldering for ham radio.
All right.
Extra 100 points.
Sounds good. Oh, yeah. We need those extra points because we don't get points for contacts, that's for sure. No, just kidding. Yeah. Actually, last year was pretty funny. I mean, the radios were kind of empty there right in the beginning because people were talking. I mean, we hadn't seen each other, and we were talking.
2021, right after COVID.
Oh, I know.
That was just a big party.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, social committee. Russ is going to take care of the food. I will go ahead and talk about coffee. Gotta have coffee. We have no Cremora, no powdered stuff, no half and half, regular milk, good old fashioned whole cow's milk. Anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Get the cow tied up.
Nick, what do you need?
I'm not gonna do that long.
I could bring my little Nespresso.
Come on now.
Yeah, we'll have coffee. We'll have coffee. If we need some Cremora or something like that. What is that stuff called? Carnation stuff. So I'll get some mix. Shaky stuff. Powder. There was some powder.
That
I know,
right
I'm
there.
just laughing.
Oh, yeah, I hate powder. Fred. Okay, I suggest you bring your own. I wouldn't even know what to buy. Plant something.
Bring a cactus.
How do you milk a plant? Yeah. Oh, milkweed. Milk.
How long you been?
All right. That's the coffee thing. We'll have coffee, and we'll have it all night. So there you have it. Meal. We're gonna have a meal schedule this year. Russ, you want to talk about that?
I don't know anything about the meal schedule.
Okay, the meal schedule is going to be, we're going to have breakfast at 8 a.m., a very palatable 8 a.m. And I know the folks that are going to be there all night are already saying, are you kidding me? We want it at 5:30 again. No. No.
The first pan.
No.
The first pan.
No.
Hey,
That would be a no.
I'll bring snacks.
and nobody gets to go up to the food table until it is announced that it's open.
Wow. Where do we get all these rules?
We're gonna have, it's gonna be mine. We're gonna.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
having with the
there you
stick,
go.
yeah.
So we really want, those of you who would like to come back to, after you, slept all night and had a good time. We would like you to come back and have breakfast at 8 o'clock. So, and yeah, after you're done eating, then you can help, with the cleanup and tear down. And then, so dinner, hang on one second, Nick. Dinner will be at, on Saturday at, what are we thinking, Russ, 5 o'clock? 5, 6?
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Okay. And again, I just want everybody to know what time it is so that we don't have folks showing up and saying, oh, geez, I thought we were going to eat it. Da, 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 da. So 8 and 5.
And you'll eat when it's ready.
Russ is a food Nazi.
He is a food Nazi.
No soup for you.
No soup.
You go
No
now.
breakfast for you. Okay, T-shirt distribution. I have the T-shirts for everyone who ordered one. We do have a couple extra. I've already sold 1 2XL extra one. If you didn't get your shirt, we have some extra ones just in case. We'll have them out at the field day as well, assuming they're not sold tonight. That's a T-shirt distribution. Next year, we're going to do something special, something different. I just didn't have time to put a design together. But I mean, who doesn't love the back of my shirt?
Well, we've always loved
I
it.
just want to know. Anybody not love the back of my shirt?
We love the bag here.
All right, good. So we're going to do something different. We're going to change it up next year.
Summer parkas.
So save your pennies and get ready
It's
for
gonna be an expensive shirt.
a newly designed field day T-shirt next year. I also want to talk about the Sarah Summer Family Picnic. That will be in August. We have not settled on a date. We can go back to where we were at the Metropolitan Park, or we can talk to these folks about using their pavilion here.
That would be nice, yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing from the group?
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice here. If we should
Okay.
check it, look into it, yeah.
Yeah, we, all right, I'll check the police blotter and see.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's gonna come up in August. We'll get a date here
Oh,
within
that's
the
beautiful.
next week or so. And I'll shoot it out to Sarah and Allison, and we will do that. Now, Saturday or Sunday, we've always had it on, what we had it on?
Sunday.
Sundays.
Sunday around 2 o'clock or
Yeah,
something,
1 or 2 o'clock, so people can get to church. Anybody have, does Sunday work for most people?
Yeah, 2 o'clock,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's in the afternoon. Yeah, it's 1, 2 o'clock, goes to like 5-ish, and we have a lot of fun there as well.
And if you show up at 10 o'clock, you won't have a service.
But you can't touch the food until.
You don't eat till I say so.
hot dogs for you.
All right.
Ready?
Any questions on food, field day food, or, yes, sir? Oh, Nick, I'm sorry.
What is there?
What is it?
Are you ready to unveil the menu next week?
We don't have field day next week.
Oh, you mean field day?
Yeah.
Oh, that is next week. That's right. What was I thinking?
Well, tell us again.
Forgot all about
You're
that.
You gotta wait.
I was thinking the end of the month is 4th of July, close to.
Can people hear me now?
Yes!
For dinner, we're having meatball subs. And I'll probably bring some beans and some pasta salad that I will make. And for breakfast, we're having breakfast casserole and biscuits and sausage gravy. And I don't know, I'll probably bring some jelly or something. We're just having dinner and breakfast.
Making me
Okay.
drool.
Cool. After dinner, we'll have the doors open with fans going.
Thank you, Russ.
The beans.
Sounds delicious. Wow, sausage gravy.
Nice, very nice.
Okay, I feel fatter already. All right, any other questions? Nick, did we answer your question? Is that okay? All right. All right, we have the build coming up. Jason, you're up again. And let me just mention this club gear storage and disposal while he's getting up here. I have some wire antennas that was part of our yeah. And honestly, we're not going to use it. The club will not use this again. If any of you would like, there's some good 450 ohm ladder line. No, not good. Oh, it's not good.
There's wire.
There's wire. If anybody can use it, you're welcome to it.
Listen, he'll shoot you
Now,
down.
there's supposed to be an antenna.
So, yeah, so there is something labeled 40 and 20 meter dipole. There, one is labeled 10 and 15. This is Gary's idea of a quality piece of ladder line, apparently. See what the previous president does.
I'm telling
you. This one's a 10, 15, it says coax speed, again, for splendid quality, right here. And then this little number that is unlabeled and is a mystery. But it does have what I think is a 1-to-1 voltage. So, this is not going back in my garage.
And after field day, we will have permanent places for our gear, and we'll work through all of that after we break down field day. Yes, we will.
Good.
All right.
Antenna bill?
Antenna bill. Here.
All right, so we are going to be doing a club build. We usually do them in the spring, a little later this year, but for a good reason. Well, two good reasons. One, I didn't have time to do anything about it before this. But we're going to build it's a 14% off-center fed dipole, which is tunable on 80 through 6 meters with a regular radio with your internal tuner. You don't need an external tuner. With the exception of 30 meters. It does not work well on 30 meters. You can make a 40-meter version. Obviously, it's half the length end to end. I have not built that, but I'll help you try to build one if you want one, but not that long. The 80-meter dipole is 132 feet from end to end. It can be used straight across or in a V for NVIS for inverted V. The nice thing about it is, as I said, it's tunable across the number of bands. I've used one for years, works very well. But the build project, if you want to get in on it, it's going to be sometime in July or maybe early August to dovetail right into Ohio QSO Party, which is, I believe, the 3rd or 4th weekend of August. So the goal is, if you're interested, we're going to build it. We'll assemble it, which is going to involve you get to wind your own balun around some toroids. We're going to buy a pre-made kit with everything pre-cut for you. It's real. Actually, I have a test kit that that actually came in the mail earlier this week. Really nice from Palomar Engineering. So you get to wind the toroid. It'll have a waterproof box to put the toroid in with some nice stainless steel wire hookups and eyelets to run the antenna wires across. So there'll be some toroid winding, a modest amount of soldering, and lots of measuring and remeasuring of pieces of wire. What we'll do is either on a tree or a mast, we'll pull it up in the air a little bit, run it through a nano VNA just to check it out that it's built okay, so you can feel good about hooking it up to your radio, and then it will be yours to take home. I think, what did you say, Jeff? We have 9 people signed up now. If we keep around that number, we'll probably just do one build day. If we get too many more people than that, we'll probably do 2 different build days, just to kind of split it up rather than trying to get 15, 18 people in there, or 20 or more, however many want to come. We'll probably split those up. The cost is $96, which may seem a little expensive, but if you look at any of the pre-made kits, these are usually at least 140, if not more. And I did choose top shelf gear for these things. The Palomar Engineering toroids are well known for being good. We got a nice solid box to keep it in. The wire is going to be from the Wireman, a nice stranded flex weave. I think that's what I picked. 14 gauge wire. So it's not the cheapest build we've done as a club, but it's going to be a really good quality antenna. I've had one up in the air for 6 or 7 years now, so they do last. So, any questions?
No, but Ohio QSO is the 26th
26th, okay.
of August, yeah.
What's the power limitation on the battle?
I think 2,000 watts. I'd have to look. I think it's a full power balun.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't melt like the one at my house.
Just wondering.
The one we accidentally overdrove a little bit.
A little bit.
Any questions? All right, if you want to sign up, you can do it online or pay Jeff, and we'll go from there.
Or we can take money tonight on the credit card.
All right.
All right, thanks. And we certainly appreciate all your effort with that, Jason. It's going to be a lot of fun. I signed up too. I don't think I need another wire antenna, but you never know. You never know. Okay, next. That's all we got. So any comments, questions, anything at all? Feedback? Anybody?
We'll throw one out there for the future. September 9th is the Ospota party, Ohio State Parks on the Air. So that's our big one coming up on the 9th of September. 9th
September?
of September. I figured I'd throw it out early.
Okay.
Nice event, nice event.
Yeah, mark your calendars for the 9th of September then. That'll be a lot of fun.
Ohio State CUSA party, right? Yeah,
Right.
Ohio State. Parks on the Air, Parks on the Air.
Yeah, is there an open invitation for those of us who are sort of new and don't know a whole lot to come out and watch you guys build your antennas?
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Jason said yeah, yeah.
No antenna.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to. I figured I'd get a radio before I build an antenna. Let me just say. You don't,
Well, you can't.
you don't have to do that in order.
Yeah, you don't have to do that in order.
I knew I shouldn't have got tied up with you.
We'll have to get you a radio somewhere, Bob.
We have a radio for him.
Oh, all right, I was going to say, those push buttons just don't work, do they?
I got a radio for you.
Okay, anybody? Nada? Okay, next. All right. Oh, I almost forgot. We have to accept the treasurer's report, which I did not. You want to
Yeah, I'm going.
go back to the? There we go.
No,
No.
we have 39.60.
Yeah, it's the ending balance is $5,068.59. We have $1,100 in our repeater maintenance allocation, and the general fund is just south of $4,000. So we got a couple of. I need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
All right. Motion to accept is what's your name, Stefan?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and any dissent? No dissent. Okay, all right, great. It's a lot easier with all these folks in the room. The next Sarah Business meeting will be July 20th at 7 o'clock. It'll be here. Plan to attend and bring a friend. Our presentation for next month will be Zeke.
Nice.
Zeke's going to talk to us about infed antennas. I have one I use as a spare infed. What myths and facts and myths or something? Yeah. Okay, and that's going to be interesting because we all know antennas should be balanced. No.
We don't have to be, but antenna should be.
All right. Okay. 50-50 raffle.
Just don't get above 20.
Accidents happen.
No, don't do that. Any other announcements while we're waiting?
Yeah, anything else? Anything else for the good of the cause? I do want to say thank you to Fred, WAKOC, who volunteered. If I am correct about this, I read the minutes. He's going to be the assistant secretary. So we have an assistant secretary in training, which is a fabulous thing. We try to keep some continuity going. What?
I didn't get.
You didn't ask for one.
Come on, Mike, you can't pull this off by yourself.
Hey, I'm not real bright, you know?
I don't know, you did better than me.
Go ahead.
Okay, Russ, you gonna pull a ticket or?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right. We collected $183.
Woo!
That's 91.5. I don't do change, so.
92.
90, huh?
92.
Can I finish from the state?
I'm hoping.
You get to talk all day long. $92 for the winner and $91 for the club.
And count your money if you win.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't care if I make any changes. I learned that working at the library. If there's a mistake, we don't care. We ain't changing it. All right.
Put it in the bank.
0, 0, 0.
I got those. Oh.
6, 9,
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
That's a lot of things. Okay, that's wrong. What? Read it again. Read that one. That one's wrong.
All right, I'll read it again. 6, 9, 4.
Don't read another.
694.
Who's got 694?
I have 594.
6, 9, 4.
Oh, man.
Did you do it again?
Yeah.
He's a coward.
Dick one?
Dick wanted you. You keep
Oh,
taking. You keep taking his ticket and putting it in the
All right. Congratulations, Jet. You won.
They did that in Strongsville, remember?
I didn't do it.
He was kidding. Well, you got another prize?
We got some door prizes.
Okay, door prizes.
These are fantastic. Thanks, I believe it's Jason.
Oh, nice.
Got 2 bumper stickers. You get your choice. You can up look at them. $6.50.
Wrong again.
That's the winner. 650. 000650.
$6.50. That's a 6, a 5, and a 0.
Wow.
I got it.
You got it. Come on up, get your bumper sticker.
Pick one. Oh, man.
Yeah, everybody for me.
That's
All right, last ticket. 7, 2, 0.
I'm talking like 6. I'm talking like 500. You know, that's the first one.
Here we go.
There's a lot of tickets. Yeah.
Here he goes. There he goes.
All right.
Take your bumper sticker, the red one.
I'm gonna stick that on your bumper for you.
No.
You can put
No.
the windshield right in front of the steering wheel.
All right, let's move ahead. Tonight's program, our very own digital Dorsey will talk to us about APRS.
His new name is Edie.
He knows.
I missed that.
He knows we got to adjourn the meeting.
Digital Dorsey.
He did.
Okay, so anyway, thank you, Ken, for stepping up.
Thanks, Ken.
We were in need, so really appreciate that. So I need to adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, it's Stefan and Russ. So there you have it. One more. There we go. Okay, take 5 while Ken gets himself set up here. And if you have a T-shirt, if you ordered a T-shirt, they're on the table over there with your name on it. We do have a couple extra. If you would like to buy one now, we're going to have them at field day, whatever's left as well. So without any further ado, take 5, go potty, whatever else you got to do. Run a half mile.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Gary. Gary.
find our seats. We'll get started with the program. You've got 1 minute. 59, 58, 57, 56.
Gary. Oh, thank you.
Did you recognize this stuff?
Oh, yeah, I do. I fixed it.
This is your guys' king.
During COVID, too.
Just put it down there.
Just put it down there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll put it.
All right.
I'll put it away.
Okay.
All right. This one is the one that we've been using. It's a little lower than that, so
Okay.
it won't give you that spiky loud.
Okay.
Because I put it up too high. Put this one up too high. All right. But you'll be good. Cool, man. Let's do it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And again, my name is Ken Dorsey. My call sign's K8OAD. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about APRS. If you notice, we have a little APRS map up here right now. That's live. That's coming from APRS.fi. So if you've never dabbled in APRS and you just want to see some of the APRS tracking, you can go out on any browser to APRS.fi, that's Foxtrot India, and you can actually pull up any of the APRS stations that happen to be transmitting at this time. I can zoom out here a little bit and we'll probably see a few more stations. There we go. Yeah. So there's a lot of stations out there. Now this is on the internet. Now I also have with me tonight a little SDR receiver. Looks like this. And that's all you really need if you want to receive APRS. This receiver will cost you $20. And I have it running as well. So we'll go to that receiver. And this is the map from that receiver. So it's still showing me in the lot here at the lodge. But this is a program that's called APRS IS32. Free program. You can get it, run it on your computer. Now, how I'm using this SDR receiver, this might go past a few of you, but I have the SDR receiver. It's set on 144.39. That's the standard APRS frequency for the United States. So it's receiving 144.39. I have a program called Virtual Audio Cable that is patching the audio from this receiver into a program called Direwolf. And Direwolf is just a software-based TNC, or a terminal network controller. And you can see here are the packets that it's receiving. And those packets, then it will take those and then it will connect with the map program, and actually the map program will take that data and actually plot that on the map. So again, you can use something very simple like an SDR receiver and receive APRS right off over the air. You don't even have to use the APRS F5, so you don't have to use internet. Now, when I'm using that little SDR, I've used it in my living room, and I just have that antenna sitting on a coffee table in my living room, and I pick up APRS packets from about 4 miles. So I get about 4 miles of receive out of just having that thing sitting on the living room, on the coffee table in the living room. So that's just something you can do. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get involved with APRS. Now, of course, that's just receive only. You're not transmitting with that, but if you just want to have a receiver, you can certainly do that. And you can use that receiver to make your own iGate or make your own digipeater. And I'll talk about what iGates and digipeters are here in a little bit. So let's go over to the program. So APRS, what does it stand for? Well, I've heard of a lot of things. I've read a lot of definitions of what APRS stands for. So a few of them: automated position reporting system, amateur position reporting system, automated packet reporting system, automatic position reporting system. It actually stands for automatic packet reporting system. All these other definitions are good, but they aren't really quite complete. It's a lot more. APRS is a lot more than just a position reporting system. You can do a lot more with APRS than just report your position. So those really aren't accurate. The closest one would be the automated packet recording system, but it's really automatic packet recording system. So just a short history lesson. This was created by a gentleman by the name of Bob Merninga, WB4APR, hence the name APRS. He was a senior research engineer with the U.S. Naval Academy in the Hawaiian Islands in the late 60s and 70s, and he built this system as a way to distribute information between the various islands. Now, it wasn't until the early 90s that this mode actually began to take hold in the amateur radio world, but now there's hundreds of thousands of APRS stations worldwide. To give you an idea, here's 1 day's worth of APRS traffic in the United States. So we're pretty well covered. There are a lot of stations out there. So let's get into APRS analog digital. Everybody gets tied up with analog and digital APRS. So here the boy wonder is telling Batman about his new analog and digital APRS capable radio. And before you get that out, the Bat kind of gives him a slap and says analog APRS does not exist. APRS is digital. That's true. So let's look at it. What's wrong about saying APRS analog? Well, let's break down the transmission. So when you're using VHF or HF, APRS relies on a 1200 baud or 1200 BPS AX.25 UI frame for transmission. So the transmission consists of two tones that are sent over the air. One tone for 0 and one tone for 1, 0 and 1 binary. The tones sent are considered to be a subcarrier transmission because the digital information is not conveyed directly by the actual RF carrier, but by the two tones, which in turn actually modulate the RF carrier in frequency. So this is also called AFSK, or audio frequency shift keying. And according to the International Telecommunications Union, the designation of emission for 1200 BPS 8x25 is classified as F2D. F being frequency modulation, 2 being one channel containing digital information using a subcarrier, the two tones, so we just talked about that, it's a subcarrier. And then D, it's a data transmission. So yes, APRS, even on VHF, is still data. And then although most of the APRS transmissions happen at 1200 baud, it should be noted that 9600 baud AX25 can also be used, but it's classified as an F1D transmission. Same frequency modulation, but it's one channel that contains the digital information. There is no subcarrier on a 9600 baud transmission. And then, of course, it is still a data transmission, so the D. So, I don't know, maybe we should refer to analog APRS as F2D APRS? Maybe that would make it more simple for people and we wouldn't have this, analog digital problem. So APRS capable radios that are sold by Kenwood and other manufacturers clearly mention these designations of emission in the device specifications in the manual. So if you look at the manual, like this is a manual for TMD710A, it says right in the device specifications that the modes it does is F1D, which would be 9600, F2D, which would be 1200 APRS, and then F3E, which is your standard analog FM, your voice mode. And when I used to work at DX, we would have a lot of people call and say, hey, I really want to get into this APRS thing, but I don't know if my radio does APRS. How can I find out? And the easiest way to find out if your radio actually does APRS right from the radio is to look at the specifications in the manual, usually on the last couple of pages. And if you see the F1D, F2D, then you know that that radio already supports out-of-the-box APRS. Now, if it doesn't, you can still get adapters to make APRS work on a radio that doesn't have internal APRS. But if it has those modes listed in the manual, then it already supports APRS right in the radio. And if you look at a radio that has a data port on it, a 6-pin data port, you'll see that there's a data out for 1200 baud, and then there's a data out for 9600 baud. And the reason being is that obviously those two different baud rates are completely different systems. So you have to have a different output for the 9600 versus the 1200. Now this says, compatible with SignaLink USB. If you have a SignaLink USB that's old, you can only run 1200 baud on the SignaLink. And the reason for that is the old versions of SignaLink had wire-wound transformers that were audio coupling transformers that coupled the in and the out audio. And those transformers can't handle that kind of speed. The 9600 baud is just too fast for the transformers. So you have to use, a different device. Now, SignaLink did fix that. They went from the old style board. Here's the two transformers on the old style board. They came out with this new style board that has these like flat pack chip transformers that are surface mounted on it. And those transformers are rated for that baud rate. So if you have one of the newer SignaLinks with the flat pack transformers that are surface mounted, you can use that for 9600 baud. Unlike F1D and F2D APRS modulation schemes, APS carried over any of the digital modes, D-Star, DMR, or System Fusion, is inherently already in a digital format and therefore uses the standard modulation type for that mode. So there is no mode difference when you're running APRS on one of the digital systems. For D-Star, you'd be running GMSK, which is Gaussian minimum shift keying. DMR is for FSK, and System Fusion is C4FM. The reason that digital is different is because the digital stream carries the APRS information. So it's up to the digital network server to decode that APRS information that's in that digital stream. We can't decode it directly. Now, I'm sure eventually somebody's going to be able to write a decoder that will pull that information out and let you see it. But at this time, anyway, we can't decode. You can't over the air decode that information. It has to go to a server. The server then decodes the information, and the server delivers the information to the APRS servers, and that's how you can get onto the APRS FI, because the APRS servers ingest that information and take all that information. They put that information on the map. So you can still get APRS positioning with any of the digital modes. It's just that you can't use those modes to actually receive direct. Now there is a little bit of a caveat to that. The ASUS System Fusion transceivers actually have a built-in TNC that allows them to use either F1D or F2D for APRS, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So what is a TNC? Well, a TNC, Terminal Network Controller, I happen to have a couple here. This is an extremely old one, but this is a terminal network controller. This patches into your PC and it does all of your digital to audio conversion. So it will take the audio coming out of your radio, convert it to digital, and then actually put it up into your PC. And then likewise, it takes the digital out of the PC, converts it to audio, and then uses it to get to the information. This thing's so old, it actually has a 25-pin RS-232 port on the back. I don't know if anybody's ever seen a 25-pin RS-232 port, but I haven't seen even a 9-pin RS-232 port for a while. So from there, as the technology improved, we got smaller and smaller. So this, again, is another TNC, a little bit smaller. And this is made by MFJ. But it's an MFJ. It still has a 25-pin serial port on it, but at least we're getting smaller. The latest and greatest TNC is this guy. And this guy is called a DigiRig. And this guy does everything that big box does. It even does cat control, which the big box doesn't do. So you can actually, if your radio has cat control, you can actually use this to control the radio. You can have all your audio in and outs on here. It has a a USB-C port, you just plug a USB cable into that, plug it into your PC, and you're set to go. So that's, pretty amazing that they got everything in that big box down to this size, but that's, electronics these days. So what does the APRS packet think? Well, the APRS transmissions use, again, X25 UI frames. They have 9 fields of data. So they have the first byte of data is just a start flag. So that just tells the system, hey. Then the next 7 bytes is a destination address. The next 7 is a source address. And then you can have up to 8 digipeater addresses, and that would take up 56 bytes. You have a control field, you have a protocol ID, and then you have an information field, and that will take up to 256 bytes of information. So that is where you would have stuff like text messages. So like your text messaging, if you're running a weather station, it would have your weather station information. It might have battery voltage. If you have it on a balloon, you might be sending down the battery voltage in that information field. But that's where the actual information is contained in that field. And then there's a 2-byte FCS, and that stands for frame check. Hang on. That stands for frame check sequence. Now, frame check sequence, that might sound like something strange. It's actually a CRC check. If you're familiar with CRCs, it's actually a CRC check. So it just checks the information that's in that packet, and then in the packet, it will tell, with that frame check, it can tell if that data is good data or not. And if it's not good data, it'll just throw it out. And then, of course, there's a 1-byte flag on the end that tells that that's the end of the packet. So you have your beginning of the packet flag, and you have your end of the packet flag. Now, all this information can be found in this tech doc, and it's on the tapper.org site, and it breaks down the packet information completely. It tells you every little detail about how this packet is designed. It's 117 pages, and I will tell you, if you suffer from insomnia, get this, download this document and start reading it. You won't get past about page 5 before you're sound asleep. It's the driest document I think anybody has ever written. But it is a great document if you really want to go low level into the APRS packets. So APRS transmissions are primarily used to send position reports from either a moving or a fixed location. The data sent usually includes some or all of the following: GPS coordinates, altitude, heading, and speed of the station sending the reports. And again, all this data is contained in that data frame that I showed you. The data contained in the packet can also include other data, such as weather information, tactical messages, or system status, including operating temperature and battery status. You'll see a lot if you, I don't know that anybody's sending up balloons right now. Balloons are probably not a good idea for us to be putting in the air at this point. but we have been sending up balloons. We send up balloons. Well, we were setting up balloons pretty regularly, and you'll always see the balloon will always report its temperature and its battery status, because it's nice to know when your balloon's at 50,000 feet, but the temperature is up there, and it's also nice to know if your solar panels are actually keeping your batteries charged in the balloon. So, yeah, balloons I think are out for us for a while. So there's 10 main types of APRS data. Again, position, direction finding, objects and items, weather, telemetry, messages, bulletins and announcements, queries, status, and other. Other is just basically for test. It's a test option. And I have all these broken down, but I'm not going to go through all of these. You can find this information online if you just look for the APRS types. So what about APRS and DMR D-Star System Fusion? I touched on this a little bit. Since DMR originated in the commercial market, the APRS that it has was designed into the system as a way for commercial users to be able to track their assets. That's all they wanted to do with DMR, with APRS, is they just wanted to be able to track their trucks. You know, we want to know where this truck is at all times. It's worlds away from the APRS that we know as amateur radio operators. The position data embedded into the data stream is in no way usable by our APRS network. Again, it has to go to the servers, and the servers have to pull out the APRS data and actually use the APRS data to generate that map. We can't do anything with the data that's embedded in that data stream. Because conversion to the APRS position frames data happens at the network level. So for Brandmeister, it happens in the master server, and then that information is injected into the APRS network. And add to the fact that this is only a truncated version of APRS. APRS is way more than just positions on a map, as we've already discussed. You can do so much more with APRS than just positions, but that's all DMR does with it. Now DPRS, as used in D-Star, is kind of closer to APRS than its DMR counterpoint, also because DMR, like unlike DMR, the D-Star system was designed for amateur radio use. It was never designed for commercial use, and it was never used in the commercial market. In ICOM radios, and unfortunately Kenwood didn't stick to this, the position data is embedded as a TNC2 formatted string, which can be directly passed by a repeater or hotspot directly into the APRS network. So the APRS network can handle that data. And the latest ICOM radios can decode more than just position information, and they support objects and weather APRS frames. But however, I don't know that anyone is using it for that purpose today. Most people just use it for sending location information. And then the Yaesu System Fusion transceivers use a standard internal data TNC modem, which use the F1D and F2D transmission methods. So that little modem thing that I showed you just a minute ago, that's basically embedded in the Yaesu HTs and the Yaesu mobiles. Any of the Yaesus that do APRS, like this, the FT3D, it does APRS directly from the radio. It has a GPS receiver built right into the radio, so all you have to do is set it up to transmit the APRS, and it takes over from there. They're pretty simple. There's also got this one too. This is the Kenwood TMD74. The TMD74 is basically the same thing. It uses APRS. You can do APRS directly off of it. It has a GPS antenna, GPS receiver built in, so it gets your GPS coordinates and it'll transmit those. Very early on in life, Yaesu came out with this guy. This was the VX8DR. Now, the VX8DR, you couldn't do APRS direct with it because it didn't have a GPS receiver. So what they did is they actually have this little GPS receiver that you could either connect directly to the mic input, or you could put it on the hand mic like I have it here, and then it just receives the GPS signals, and then the APRS will work fine on this radio too. So again, APRS is not just for your location. You know, fundamentally, it's a packet communications protocol for disseminating live data to everyone on a network in real time. Its most visual feature is a combination of packet radio with the global positioning system satellite network, enabling radio amateurs to automatically display the positions of radio stations and other objects on maps on a PC. However, we should also remember APRS is not just for broadcasting your location information using data from a GPS. It can also be used for broadcasting weather station information, direction finding, and text messages. And I'll show you, maybe I won't. I'll come back to that later. My station at home, I run an internet gateway on iGate, but I also have a weather station connected to it, and I send my weather data out on APRS. So you can actually click on my station on the map, on the APRS.FI map, and you'll actually see the weather station data off of my station in real time. And practically, there's about a 2-minute delay. So why do we use APRS? Well, imagine the time savings and reduction in radio traffic and knowing where a station is by just looking at a map instead of having to ask for their position over the radio. For instance, imagine you're a net control station with several mobile operators supporting a 25-mile race. Instead of asking individual stations for their location when you need something, you can simply look at a map and direct the nearest resource as needed. Now, for Aries, we use APRS very heavily for the Akron Marathon and the Goodyear Half Marathon. Every vehicle that we have have control over in the race, we have tracked with an APRS tracker. We started out, Gary, I think you might have used this guy one time. We started out using this as an APRS tracker. It did have a sealed lead acid battery in it. Now we have a LiFePO battery in it, but it has what they call it's a Tiny Track 4. It's by a company called Bionics. And I can turn this thing on. You'll see some lights flashing, but that's about all it's going to do because it's inside. It's not going to be able to pick up the, if I get this thing plugged in correctly. There we go. Now you'll see these lights flashing up here. It's trying to get a satellite lock. Now obviously in the building here, we're not going to get a satellite lock. It has a GPS puck on the side. It's got about 50 feet of cable in the box here, so we can pull this cable out. This is magnetic, so we can just pop it right onto the roof of a vehicle and run it in there, and then we have our GPS receiver. The transmitter I'm using for this thing is actually my first HT. It's an ICOM IC2AT. It's a really old radio, but it's perfect for APRS because it doesn't have tone, so I can't use it on repeaters. About the only thing I can use it for is APRS because you don't need tones for APRS. So that transmitter has been delegated the APRS, official APRS transmitter. So we use this. You may notice I have 2 of these Bionics Tiny Tracks. The reason I have 2 in here is they can be configured for either mobile or portable use by changing some jumpers in them. So I have this one jumpered for mobile. So if I need to connect this to a mobile radio, I can just connect this to a mobile radio and then use it for the mobile. But right now I'm using this one connected to the HT, and it's configured for the HT mode. So that's what we originally used. I think, Gary, you used this thing at least a couple of times. Yeah, especially when I had the sealed lead acid battery. It's not too bad now with the LiFePO 4 battery. So like everything else, like the TNCs, we eventually got smaller and we started using these. Now this is has a single board radio in it with a radio transmitter, and it works off a 9-volt battery. And again, we have a little hockey puck GPS receiver with a lot of cable, and this also is magnetic, so this will clip right, hook right to a car. And in fact, this is this unit, one of these units is what I'm running out of my car right now. So that's what you were seeing earlier, is one of these transmitting. And this board again was made by Bionics. Unfortunately, Bionics canceled this. They discontinued this board, which is too bad because it's actually not a bad little board, and it works very well. But they decided to cancel it and discontinue it. But that was our next version of that. Oh, and this is very high tech. The electrical tape to hold the case together here. It's only one step below duct tape, I think. But so that was the next revision. So now we've gone ultra small. We're using these devices. They're called AVRT5 APRS GPS trackers. These are fully contained APRS transmitters. And that's all they do is just transmit APRS. They have a built-in GPS receiver, and then a transmitter, of course, 1 watt units. They do have a serial or a USB port on the bottom. If you want to plug them into a PC and actually send the data to a PC, you can do that. They even have a little micro SD card if you want to record all the different points that you hit on it. You can even record the points and then pull the SD card out and look at them later. But this thing, you just hit the button to turn it on and it'll start blinking. It's made by, I don't know. You can find them on eBay. They're called AVRT5s. Now they're about $100, about $99. But now you'll see, I don't know if you can see that blue light or not. It's going to blink, and it's just going to keep blinking because once again, it's not getting a satellite lock in the building here. If it got a satellite lock, that blue light would go solid, and then it would start transmitting the positions. But these are what we're using now. We have 5 of these. For the Goodyear or for the Akron Marathon, we need all 5. We have the SAG vehicle, which Gary usually handles. So we've got 1 in the SAG vehicle. We have 3 medical aid vehicles. We have 1 in each one of the medical aid vehicles. And we have a vehicle on the towpath. So we have to have 1 on the towpath vehicle. And that makes 5. So we have all of our vehicles covered. And you'll see here in a second, I have a couple slides from the marathons. So the very first time we used APRS, I think this was the very first time, Zeke, you might be able to correct me, but at least that I know of, the very first time we used APRS in Aries was for the Akron-Canton Airport disaster drill in 2002. So back in 2002, John here had built himself a couple of portable APRS devices. We had his devices. Now he's actually field programming them right at the airport. He was field programming them. We had his 2 devices. We had my device. And this, I believe, was the first time we used APRS to actually track the buses that were taking the injured and people to the hospitals. And this is the way we had John's hooked up. We just took a couple of zip ties and tied it to the railing of the bus, and the antenna was right by the window, so it worked great. Mine was actually sitting on a seat, but it still worked very well too. And here's a picture of the actual operations center. So that's yours truly sitting there, and that's my old Sharp 386 laptop running Windows 3.1. And it's actually sitting on top of the TNC there. So you'll see the TNC below it. And we were actually tracking all of the buses as they were leaving the airport, as they were taking people to all the various hospitals, all the injured. And they do that drill, I think it's supposed to be done every 4 years, I believe. And I know next year is the year we have to do it again. So we'll be doing that drill next year. They didn't do it. They missed it because of COVID. But so they're going to do the drill again this next coming year. And this was kind of an interesting, it was sort of the highlight of the evening, I guess. Everyone in the building wanted to sit around and watch the buses as they rode around on the map, and they just couldn't believe that we were actually able to track these buses and know exactly where each bus was at any certain time. It was just, the amazement factor was out of this world. But that's what we were doing. And so here's probably know Larry Fields here. This was at the Akron Marathon, one of the Akron Marathons. This was probably 2015 or 16. And we had a bunch of radios going. Larry was on our main frequency. We had one radio that was monitoring the Falls repeater as a backup. We had one radio that was doing the APRS, and we had another radio that we actually have a simplex frequency for talking to the med tent directly. So we have 4 radio frequencies going during the marathon. And up here you can see there's the APRS map. And again, we're watching all of the units on the course. And the marathon officials can come over to us and they can say, where's the last runner? And I can look up the SAG vehicle, and if I know where the SAG vehicle is, I know where the last runner is because the SAG vehicle follows the last runner. And I can tell them, oh, the SAG vehicle is just turning on the main street. We're on Bowery and we're just turning on the main. So they love it. They think it's just really slick that we can, monitor the progress of the vehicles. And it's, like I said, it's great for us because we know where everybody is at any time. If I need an aid vehicle, I know where the aid shuttles are. And this was the marathon. I think this might have been 2018. This is actually in the Rubber Duck Stadium. We're up in the press box of the Rubber Duck Stadium, so we look down on the finish line. It's actually right below the press box area in the stadium. Again, there's the APRS map, so we know where all the vehicles are. In this stadium, in this operations center, the gentleman at the end here, he's with Akron Fire. This gentleman is with Akron PD. This gentleman is with Akron PD. She is with the marathon staff. And then this is Tommy Smoot, and he's actually with the EMA. So on the marathon, if we have anything happen on the marathon, I'm within, practically arm's reach of either Akron Fire or Akron PD. So we don't even we don't even tell our people to call 911. We tell our people to call into the net if they have an emergency, and we can tell them, hey, we've got a person down at this intersection or at this mile marker, and they can dispatch the aid units right directly from here. They can dispatch an ambulance or a medical unit if they need a paramedic unit. So we don't even mess with 911 when we're doing the marathon. This is the Goodyear Half Marathon. Again, same thing. There's the APRS going. We're tracking our vehicles. Now in the half marathon, we don't need as many. We have 1 aid shuttle and we have 1 SAG vehicle. So we actually only have 2 vehicles that we have to track. And this was last year at the half marathon. And you can see again the APRS there. So let's talk a little bit about APRS station types. So there's 3 distinct APRS stations. There are mobile stations, which is any portable station, HTs, mobile, or even balloons. Balloons considered a mobile station. Home fixed stations, which can be either eye-gates or fill-in digipeaters. And then there's wide fixed, smart, high-level backbone stations. And these are usually the most high-powered and or best located of all the APRS stations and are generally only used for digipeating. And they are usually on commercial towers. So they're usually the best suited for wide distance repeating. And I'll talk about the distinction between home stations and wide stations because there is a distinction, and we'll talk about that in a minute here. So what is needed for home APRS? Well, at the bare minimum, you need a VHF radio receiver or transceiver. You need a TNC if you're not going to use the software emulated TNC. You need some kind of a TNC. Obviously, you're going to need a computer. You're going to need software. APRS ISCE is a good software to use for the mapping software. Dire-Wolf is good for the TNC. So if you're going to use the Dire-Wolf software, you don't even need a hardware TNC. Now, you still will need some way to get the audio from your radio to the Dire-Wolf software. So you still have to have some kind of a signal link card or like one of those little digi-rigs or something like that to get the audio from your radio to the computer. But then once Dire-Wolf has the audio, it can do what it needs to do with the audio. So you don't really need the TNC anymore. And there's also Mac APRS is an emulated TNC, and it will run obviously on iOS systems. And this is just sort of a breakdown of what you need. So you need the mapping software on the PC. or Direwolf, if you're going to use Direwolf as a software emulated TNC. If not, then you're going to need a TNC connected to the radio. Same for portable station, mapping software on your laptop, a TNC connected to the radio. If you're going to use Direwolf or some kind of emulated TNC, then you don't need the TNC part. So what's needed for mobile radio? Well, for mobile, obviously, again, a VHF radio, you will need a dedicated APRS tracker, and that was like one of those that bionic tracker that I showed you that I said, hey, I had configured for mobile use. So you'll need a tracker, and you need, obviously, a GPS receiver, and it has to have NEMA compliant output. And then, many radio manufacturers are now offering mobiles and HTs with built-in APRS functionality. So you may not even need that. Now, if you have a mobile receiver with APRS, you may still need to get a GPS receiver for it. A lot of the mobiles, they don't put a GPS receiver in the mobile because what would be the use if the mobile's inside the car surrounded by metal? The APR or the GPS receiver isn't going to work that well. So usually you have to have an external GPS receiver. But it would look something like this. You'd have your little hockey puck GPS receiver going into the tracker, going into your radio on 144.39, which is the standard APRS frequency. So can you use your cell phone? Yes. You can use a smartphone, either an iPhone or an Android phone, to send APRS packets directly through your phone's data connection to the APRS gateway or through a radio. If you have an iPhone, there's a couple of apps that I'm aware of. Open APRS is one. Pocket Packet is another one. For Android, there's APRS Droid. I use APRS Droid a lot. It works very well. Now it does connect to your phone's data connection. So remember, if you don't have a unlimited data plan, you're going to be using data. So you might consider having an unlimited data plan if you're going to use something on your phone like this. The nice thing too about APRS Droid, and I don't know about the iPhone apps, but APRS Droid also supports Bluetooth. So if you have a radio that has Bluetooth support, you can actually connect APRS Droid to your radio via Bluetooth and use your radio then to do the transmitting and receiving for APRS. So you don't have to use your phone's data connection. You can actually use a Bluetooth radio. So how does the network work? Well, the network works by having various things that we'll talk about here. The first is an iGate, or an internet gateway. So stations that are internet gateways or iGates are set up to upload the APRS data to the internet-based APRS servers. Now, one thing I should mention is that APRS does not depend on iGates to work. People say, well, what if the internet's down? What if the internet's down? It's all radio. I can still receive APRS. I don't need the internet. And I did this program about a month ago, and I had a gentleman say, well, this seems awfully crazy. Why don't you just use what's the little button things for that Apple has, iTags or AirTags? Yeah. He says, why don't you just use AirTags? This sounds like it's too complicated. You could just use AirTags. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, but AirTags need the internet, right? And that the light bulb went off, and he realized, oh yeah, if I don't have internet, I don't have the AirTag. So again, we're using radio, and we try as much as possible to not use the internet when we're doing a lot of our marathons and things like that. We try to use the radio as much as possible because we don't want to have that internet situation in there. So you do not need iGates for the system to function. iGates are just there to get the data to the APRS servers so the APRS servers can put the little dots on the map. That's all they're going to do. Then we have digipeaters. We have both home and wide that rebroadcast the APRS data similar to a normal repeater used for voice transmissions. However, they digipete on the same input and output frequency. So when they digipete, when they receive a packet, they hold that packet in storage for a few seconds. They modify the packet, and then they send the packet back out on the same frequency. And I'm going to explain to you why they modify the packets. It's all part of the pathing. So home fill-in digipeters only respond to a wide 1-1 path. And we're going to get into pathing here in a minute. In fact, we'll get into it right now. So APRS paths. So APRS stations can be configured to use digipeters to expand their usable coverage area. The TNC or the APRS tracker can be programmed with path settings saved either in the software or non-volatile memory in the device. And that goes for the HTs that have APRS. You have to set up a path in the APRS configuration in your HT. So the path information is then applied to every transmission, and it tells the receiving station how the packet should be handled. So I'm going to show you an example of pathing here, and this gets kind of convoluted too. So let's say we configured our APRS device software with the following path setting: wide 1-1, wide 3-3. This is going to create 4 hops on the network. So basically what this means is that the operator wants the first relay station or digipeter, home or wide, that hears a transmission to digipete the transmission. Now, home will digipete this transmission because home will digipete a wide 1-1. That's the only thing a home digipeter will digipete. If it doesn't see 1-1 there, a home digipeter ignores the packet. So since we have wide 1-1, a home digipeter will work, or wide digipeter. If a wide digipeter sees it, it's going to digipete the packet. And then the transmission, then those digipeters are going to blast out. They're going to transmit that packet out, and then that transmission would be received by additional digipeters and will be retransmitted by should be retransmitted by more than 3 additional hops, giving a total of 4 hops. So you have 1 hop here, wide 1-1, and then 3 hops here, wide 3-3. So you get a total of 4 hops. So let's see how this works. So on the first transmission from the station originating the message, the packet's going to contain the following routing instructions: wide 1-1, wide 3-3. That's going to transmit, and a station configured as a digipeter, either home or wide, that hears the message will look at the routing instructions and then retransmit the received packet, but it's going to change the routing instructions to be whoops, let's go back. Okay, it's going to change the routing instructions to be wide 3-3. So what this asterisk tells the digipeters is that that first hop is done. They can't do anything else with that hop. So they're happy. So that's going to add to the routing instructions, and then this either the home or the wide digipeter is going to rebroadcast that packet. Okay. So the relay transmission is then going to be received by any wide wide digipeter that hears it. And that station, again, is going to look at the routing instructions. It sees that there's still hops left. It's going to retransmit the packet, changing the routing instructions to be wide 3-2. So now we've done 2 hops. We've used the wide 1-1 up, and we've used one of the wide 3-3s up. Same thing. That wide repeater is going to retransmit that packet, and the next wide digipeter is going to hear it. It's going to change the routing instructions to wide 3-1, and it's going to retransmit the packet. The next digipeter, is going to hear the packet, going to look at the routing instructions, and it's going to see it was wide 3-1. So it says, okay, we still have 1 more hop. So it's going to change the wide 3-1 to wide 3, and the asterisk means we're done with that routing. So once it transmits this packet, if any other digipeters hear this packet, they're going to ignore it because all the routes are done. All the hops have been made. And that's how you control how you get into the digipeters. Now, I have to laugh because I was helping someone today trying to set up a Anytone 878 for APRS. And I watched some YouTube videos, and one gentleman said it's sort of a lesson in futility. And I believe them. It's not easy for some reason. It shouldn't be as hard as they're making it. But I watched several videos, and there was one gentleman that had a video on setting it up, and he got to the pathing part of the APRS, and he said, Well, I don't know what that means, so I'm just not gonna touch it. Okay, well, it defaults in the factory by wide 2-2. So if anybody that uses that configuration, if they're not in range of a wide digipeater, their packets are going nowhere. If they have a 1.1, they only need to be in range of another home digipeater, and then they're good to go. But that's a bad configuration. So again, just to reiterate here, so the station sends wide 1-1, wide 3-3. The first digipeater receives it, sends wide, asterisk wide 3-3. The second receives it, sends asterisk wide 3-2. The third sends wide, asterisk wide 3-1, and the last digipeater will send the asterisk wide 3. And this might make it look a little easier. So we've got this mobile user. So here's why we need home stations, and we need as many home digis as we can. It's always great if somebody wants to set up a home digipeater, because it helps the network. But so we've got this mobile user here that wants to send a packet, an APRS packet. Well, we've got 5 wide digipeaters. These are the big guys. These are the guys on 200 foot on a commercial tower or something, but these are the big guys. But he's not within range of any of these wide digipeaters. He is, however, in range of this home fill-in digipeater. So when he sends his wide 1-1, wide 2-2, this home digipeater is going to see him. Now, this home digipeater is within range of this wide digi. He's not within range of any of these others, but he is within range of this thing because he's a home station. He probably has an antenna on a tower or something. So he repeats and retransmits the packet, and he changes it to asterisk wide 1-1, wide 2-2. So we've done one hop now. This wide digipeater then sees the packet, sees that there's still hops left to go. So he sends it again, changes the wide 2-2 to wide 2-1. Now all of these digis can see him. They're the big guys. So they can all see him. They all see that the packet still has one more hop, so they'll send it again. And then, of course, every one of those repeaters or digipeaters change the wide 2-1 to asterisk wide 2. So now any other digipeaters that are even further away, they won't do anything with that packet. That hop is done. So if you set a hop for like wide 6-6, you'd hop all the way to California. And you tie up just, I don't know how many digipeaters doing it. So you don't want to make your hops too large. So as one can imagine, with each hop, the coverage area expands. Normally, you wouldn't want to configure your station to use 4 hops unless you needed to have the packet travel a long distance, such as across the state or states. And I tell you what, in Ohio, 2 hops will get you out of the state easily. Usually wide 1-1, wide 2-1 is a good general setting to start with. Here are some suggested. Wide 1-1, wide 2-1 will produce 2 hops and takes advantage of home digis. You use this in the busy urban and suburban areas, recommended for the majority of mobile operations. Then there's wide 1-1, wide 2-2 will produce 3 hops, and it takes advantage of home digis as well because you have the wide 1-1 in there. And it uses settings for rural areas with low APRS activity. And then wide 1-1, wide 3-3, this is good for interstate communications. It's a rare setting. I don't think many people use wide 3-3 unless they really want to go multiple states. Wide 2-2 is the shortest path string. It produces 2 hops by directly using 2 high-level digis. Now, again, remember, if you're using like a wide 2-2, you won't be using home digis, and that's what, like I said, that's what the default is for the Anytone radio is wide 2-2. So if you're not within range of a high-level digi, your packet's going nowhere. It's going to just go out into the ether. Now, you may see some documents that suggest using relay for the first hop. Relay's been phased out. Doesn't work anymore. So it's now recommended just to use the wide 1-1 in place of relay. And also note, if you use wide 3-3 in the path, it may not work if only a home station hears the transmission. Again, the same situation. If a home station hears you, but you don't have wide 1.1 in there, your packet's not going anywhere. So just be aware of that. You can also substitute the call sign of your local digipeater for the first wide 1.1. So for example, you can do WW8TF1. WW8TF is a digipeater right here in this area. And then you can do a wide 2.1. That would give you 2 hops. But again, you must be within range of the station for your packet to be digipeated. So if you're not in the range of WW8TF, again, your packet is going nowhere. And this just shows a different version of it. So the frequencies, again, North America is 144.39 megahertz with a voice alert of 100 hertz. A voice alert? What's a voice alert? We'll get to that. And then all the different frequencies for all the other countries. This is interesting, and going back to the balloon thing, a lot of people don't think about this, but other countries use different frequencies. So not only does your balloon have to have the smarts just to stay alive, but it also has to have the smarts to know where it's at any time on the Earth, because if you're traveling over Europe, you're going to be on a different APRS frequency than when you're traveling over the US. So the radio actually has to be able to be changed to the correct frequency for APRS, depending on where you are in the world. So that's something a lot of people don't realize, that, okay, and not everybody uses the same frequency we use. And since you have a GPS in there anyway, it knows where it is. So it's very easy to write the software to change the radio frequency depending on where your location is. Also, we shut the radios off if we happen to be going over North Korea. If we happen to be going over North Korea, it's not a good idea to have a balloon transmitting anything if you want to keep the balloon. So we do shut the radios off when they're transmitting over North Korea. I don't know about China. I think we keep them on in China, but North Korea is a no-no. So what's this APRS voice alert? Well, if you own a dual VFO transceiver, you can set one of the VFOs to the APRS frequency, 144.39, with a tone squelch of 100 hertz. This way, you can monitor APRS without hearing the APRS package. You don't have to hear all that squealing, that APRS squealing. But you will hear a voice call from someone else using the 100 hertz PL tone when still monitoring or using the other VFO for local communications. So a lot of times driving down the highway, you'll see guys that are hams and they'll have an APRS sticker in their back window and it'll say APRS 100 PL. So what that means is that they're doing this. They're listening for anybody to transmit to them with a 100 hertz PL tone. And you can actually call that person and they'll hear your call because it'll break the squelch because the PL tone, and you can call that person and you can have a conversation with that person. Now, I don't recommend staying on the APRS frequency too long. You'd be better off to move either to a local repeater or simplex frequency if you're both at the same place on the highway. But I've had people tell me, oh yeah, I had my APRS on and somebody saw my sticker and they called me and we talked the rest of the way down 71 all the way from here to Cincinnati. So you can do that with APRS. You can set up the tone like that. APRS in space, yes. There's APRS satellites up there, and the International Space Station has an active APRS digipeater. It operates on 145.825, so not on the standard APRS frequency, and it uses unique path designators. So you want to check with the APRS or with the ARISS, Amateur Radio, on the International Space Station. You want to check with that site for the actual path designators. I think it's I want to say it's space something, or I don't remember, but it does have a unique path to actually be able to use it. Hardware, we'll just run down real quick. Trackers, APRS trackers, there's all kinds of different companies that sell the APRS trackers. Like I said, Bionics, that's that APRS tracker that I had in the box there. Fox Delta, you can get that AVR-T5, the all-in-one, that little thing that I showed you that looked like a pack of cigarettes. That's the AVR-T5. And they also make an APRS X1 C5 Plus, and the only difference between the two is the X5C, other than $50, The X1 C5 Plus actually has a little screen on it, so you can actually see the APRS, the call signs of other APRS stations as it receives them, and gives you just a nice little screen. TNCs, there's a lot of people making TNCs. Fox Delta makes the mini TNC. Cantronics makes a KPC 3 Plus and a KPC 9612 Plus. MFJ makes the MFJ 1270Pi and the 1270X. TAPR mainly makes kit form TNC, so you have to build the kit. And then TimeWave, which is the PK232, that big box, they actually still make that. You can actually still buy the PK232. It's the SC Plus now, and I think it's probably USB at this point in time. I don't think it's still serial, I would hope. Anyway. Sound cards, well, pretty much anything will do. If you just need an interface from your radio to your PC, Buxcom makes a Rascal, Tigertronics makes the Signal-Link, West Mountain Radio makes a Rig Blaster. That one's kind of popular in the amateur radio community. MFJ makes the MFJ 1275. And then, of course, DigiRig. That was that little tiny one I showed you. They make the DigiRig. Now, if you just want to run an iGate or track APRS devices, any receiver that will receive 144.39 will work, and that includes scanners or even SDRs. Like I showed you earlier, that SDR receiver, $20 SDR receiver, I can use it to track APRS. It's not going to transmit, obviously, but it'll still let me see the APRS in positioning. Software for mobile, there's none required because it's usually embedded in the tracker itself. Home, again, if you aren't going to use a actual TNC, then you just need a sound card interface in place of the TNC, and then you need to run like AGWPE, Direwolf, UZ7HO, Sound Modem, and there's a bunch of others. If you just search Google for TNC emulated, software TNC emulated, you'll find them. Don't search for Direwolf using Google. You'll get hundreds and hundreds of pages of the ancient direwolf creature that used to roam North America. So don't search. If you're going to search for direwolf on Google, search for like direwolf APRS or direwolf digital or something like that. And again, smartphones, you've got the iPhone, Open APRS, Pocket Packet, APRS Droid. Oh, I forgot the client software. So the client software, again, there's a bunch of them. There's UIView. That's really old, but it's still out there. APRS IS32, which is what I was running here tonight. That's good. The nice thing I like about APRS IS32 is for the maps, if you know where you're going to be, you can connect APRS IS32 to the internet and bring up the maps on APRS IS32, and it will save those maps in memory. And that way, if you want to go portable or something like that, you don't have to have internet to bring those maps back up. Those maps will still exist in APRS IS32, so it's very handy in that regard. You don't need the internet for the maps to work. Unlike APRS FI or something like that, where you absolutely have to have the internet. But that's a nice feature. I like that, and you can zoom the maps up and pull the maps out, and it'll save every one of those maps for you. And again, APRS FI on the internet, if you want to just do it on the internet. So I thought I'd do this real quick, and I'm just about done here, so we'll get out of here shortly. This is Dayton Hamvention. This is Dayton Hamvention on Thursday. This is Dayton. There's quite a bit of APRS traffic around here. A little bit of traffic, APRS traffic around the fairgrounds. There's a couple people here and there on the fairgrounds, but that was Thursday. This is the APRS traffic on Friday. As you can see, there's a lot of APRS traffic around Dayton. There's all kinds of APRS traffic around the fairgrounds. There's just hundreds. You take your mouse, I can take my mouse and just barely move it to each one of those points on the screen, and I get a different call sign every time I move the mouse. It was just amazing how many APRS devices were there at the Hamvention. And then, of course, this is Saturday. Again, now this actually slowed down quite a bit over here in Dayton because apparently everybody was already at the fairgrounds, because this is what the fairgrounds looks like on Saturday. And yeah, crazy. But I was kind of laughing. This is Friday. I was kind of laughing at all these people that are stuck in the traffic coming into the fairgrounds. You see all these people that aren't moving anywhere. They're just kind of stuck there in traffic. But that was from APRS, from the fair, for the Hamfest. So with that, I think I am done. And all I have to say is, in conclusion, please, no APRS texting with more than one radio while you're driving.
Nice.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Ron, does that look familiar? Oh, man. Okay. That's all right. Any questions?
Yeah, you're right. As long as you got light.
Yeah, any questions for Ken before we close her down? Anybody want to hear me sing?
No,
I
no, we love you, man.
I didn't do that well, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, great presentation. Again, next month, Zeke's going to talk about infed antennas. I am looking forward to that one because they shouldn't work. They really shouldn't. Just saying. Mine works for some reason. I just don't know why. Okay. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Don't forget Barometer Net first thing in the morning. And we have, what else is going on?
Field day next week.
Yeah, well, field day, of course. Yeah. Okay, anything? All right. Everybody have a good night. And thanks for being here. Okay, now, how do we